Alright guys, so here I have a 2001 Honda Civic BMXA transmission. We're gonna do a teardown inspection to see what we're gonna be able to find wrong with this transmission, and so you can get a little bit familiar with this unit. What are the teardown steps, for inspecting this type of transmission. And here we have vehicle speed sensor, sensors and switches, the vehicle speed sensor, countershaft speed sensor, the transmission range sensor underneath this cover. Here's the connector. Clutch pressure control solenoids, dual linear. We have two shift control solenoids here, and we have torque converter clutch solenoid up here, and the main shaft speed sensor. Now we're going to take all the external accessories from this unit. We're going to remove everything from the outside and then start removing the internal components of this unit. Alright guys, so let's begin. But before we do that, just make sure that you click that subscribe button. Once you're subscribed to my channel, then you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. So just make sure that you click the subscribe button, and now we can get started. We're going to go ahead and take everything from the outside. We're going to use basically 10mm socket and a 14 and a 17 to take the cooler lines off. Okay, so let's start with the cooler lines. So our cooler line fittings, and they have two aluminum washers. Make sure that you put new washers whenever you do one of these units, when you rebuild one of these. That's our dipstick. This is our main shaft speed sensor. Main shaft speed sensor. Dual linear solenoids. As you see here, we have a screen on one of them. Sometimes the screen will get full contaminated with friction material. It needs to be cleaned out once you go back in with it. Transmission range sensor. This is your transmission range sensor. That's your transmission range sensor. Two shift solenoids. As you see here, the shift solenoids also have screens, and they do get full contamination with friction material, as you're going to see here on this screen right here. I don't know if you can see the contamination there. It gets a little bit blurry. Okay, I'm going to shine the light on it, my flashlight. See the screen there? It's probably too shiny. But you get the point. It gets contaminated with friction material. Whenever it's contaminated with friction material, the fluid won't flow through the shift solenoid the way it's supposed to be. And then you're going to get probably a shift solenoid code, shift solenoid performance code. That doesn't mean that your shift solenoid is bad. It means that it's not functioning properly. So you could have a restriction of fluid flow going through the solenoid. The shift solenoid will energize, but the valve won't move, it won't stroke, it won't upshift to the next shift. And the computer will pick that up as a shift solenoid performance code, not as a circuit code. There's a difference between shift solenoid circuit and shift solenoid performance. And that would be a good example for a shift solenoid performance code. This is our drain plug. It looks fairly clean. It does have a little bit of a carbon buildup there. And I say carbon buildup because the transmission fluid is made out of, it's petroleum based, and it's basically carbon. So the black spongy thing, it would be like friction material, but it would also be deterioration of the transmission fluid. The carbon molecules will start to separate from the fluid, and that's what you will see. Sometimes you will have a bolt or two that are going to be stubborn coming out. We have this one here. Sometimes the threads would bind to the bolt itself, and when you take the bolt out, part of the aluminum is stuck on the threads, and that's an indication that transmission has never been opened before. I'm going to go ahead and pause it, and I'm going to try to get this bolt out. It didn't want it to come out with this impact wrench, and you need a fairly strong impact, and that's a very strong impact wrench, and it didn't come out. So I'll get that out, and we'll get back to you. Okay, it was not necessary to pause the video. It came right out. The threads are good. Nothing wrong with it. It was just a little bit oxidized in there. I just smacked it a little bit on the side right here where the threads are, and it just came right out. Now we can continue to disassemble the whole unit. This is our end cover. We have 3 O-rings for our 3 fig pipes that come from the valve body here to the end cover that supply oil to our clutches. Get that out of the way. Here's our parking mechanism. Here's our parking ball and our detent rotor here, attached with a 10mm bolt with the locking tab here. We're going to bend that locking tab, get our 10mm socket. And this locking tab here, it's for the bolt not to back out. You see here that you fold it on the side of the bolt and it doesn't allow it for it to back out on its own. It's just a safety feature that Honda has with some bolts inside the transmission. We get our V10 rotor and our return spring assembly. Here we have the rotor. Parking ball stop. Our parking ball, it locks the gear whenever the parking is engaged. Now we're going to go ahead and remove these two nuts here. Okay, just so you won't damage the threads on the shaft. It's got some folds on the nut so it won't back out. You just want to open the folds, open them out. You could remove them without opening the folds. It won't get damaged. But it's best to be safe. Just open them up a little bit, and then these are counter left-hand threads. So instead of loosening them up counterclockwise, you have to go clockwise. We got one out. That was a 32 millimeter socket. This is a 15/16 socket, 12 point. Clockwise. Now we can get our drum out. We have two O-rings here. It is a very common problem that sometimes the drum will crack here and it will not move forward. All the fluid will escape from there. Also, when you go back with it, make sure that you have these two O-rings. There's one O-ring. There went the other one. Here we go. Here's the feed hole. I don't know if you can see it from there, but here's the feed hole in between the two O-rings that feed the fluid to the clutches inside this drum. Okay, well now let's check these clutches, see what they look like. Remember, this is a BMXA 2001 Honda Civic transmission. Take our snap ring off. They're looking in very good shape. Go ahead and put them to the side over here. Now this gear here is pressed in, and it has a one-way clutch. See, it freewheels clockwise and it locks. It brings everything counterclockwise. Now this gear, we can take it out, we can remove it without that, without a puller. All you need to do is go to Harbor Freight or Northern Tools or AutoZone and get you a pry bar. We're going to go underneath the gear. And you want to tap smartly without damaging the threads. And you want to pull down on your pry bar and just tap it smartly. It's coming out. Just letting the hammer fall on the shaft, not really hammer it in. You just let your hammer fall, and this is what, like a 32-ounce hammer. And here we have the gear already off. On this unit, it is not necessary to remove the counter gear like you would on BMXA and like the Accord units or the Odyssey units, you remove this. Otherwise, you won't be able to get it out. We have the 3 feed pipes here. You don't have to remove them now. You can remove them later. But let's go ahead and get them out. Just grab them with some pliers. These pipes, they go all the way down to the valve body. All right. Now, if this unit never been opened before, you have some guide pins. They get really, really hung up, and it's kind of hard to split the case. You just want to hit it smartly. It's already splitting. Do that on both sides. Alright, I had to kind of pry it open, but we already have it separated. I think. Here we go. There we go. As you can see here, got a lot of rust, and this one has a lot of rust as well. So these 2 guide pins, they were really on there. See, this gear doesn't need to be removed. It can stay there. It doesn't interfere with anything. Here's our magnet. It has a friction material in it, or carbon. Like I was explaining to you, there's one more feed pipe in here that's stuck. You want to make sure that the feed pipe, you remove them. This one goes here on top of the accumulator body. These 2 feed pipes, they feed the shift solenoids, so they have to be there. Make sure they're not missing, otherwise the transmission won't shift right. Alright, well, let me get the camera closer here. Looking inside the case, we can see converter material here, and we see some crumbles here. It is very common that torque converter clutch lining wears out and falls off, and here we see some metal, little bitty fine metal. See how it accumulates on my pick? So you had some metal. This transmission, with this evidence, I can be 100% sure that it would stop moving. Let me show you why. This is the filter. If we get closer to the filter has a screen, and you cannot clean that screen. And it's all full of friction material. See how I'm scraping that off? It's full of friction material. Now let me get the new screen so you can see the new screen, so you'll know what I'm talking about. Okay, let's look at the shape of the original filter. It's a very small filter. Now this is the updated version of that filter. It's like 2 filters in one. And you can see the size of this thing. It is very common that it gets restricted with friction material, and it gets clogged. Now we see the screen here. Now let's look at this screen. I mean, you can see the inside mesh. You can see the difference between that screen that is clogged up, and you can see the clean screen here. It should be clean all the way in. And I see a big chunk of material in there. Let me flash the light in there. and I hope that the camera can pick that up. It's probably too shiny for the camera, but there's a big piece of friction material. I don't know if you can see it there, but there it is, stuck to the filter screen. Very common problem. You cannot clean the screen. I know a lot of people will say, well, it's a screen filter, just wash it out, clean it out, and put it back in. If you do that, you're going to stop moving maybe 5-10 miles. You will drive 5-10 miles, it will stop moving, you will shut it off, let it cool down until the fluid will fill the filter again, and a small amount of fluid will fill the filter. You start it back up, it will move again for about maybe 5 miles, and it stops moving. That's your culprit right there. That's your problem. You got to put a new filter, put an updated filter like this one, and that should take care of that issue. Now let's go ahead and put this camera back on the tripod and disassemble the whole thing. Alright, well, now that you saw the inside of the filter, let's go ahead and continue turning this unit down. We're going to go ahead and take the shift fork, remove that, and it has a locking tab for that bolt as well. Get our 10mm bolt and remove that. We're going to go a little quick here. A little quick, so pay attention. You can always rewind it. Here we have a bearing and the race. And this is where the reverse idler gear turns this gear for reverse. Here we have a shift fork. Now this transmission looks similar to a manual transmission where you have the gears. Instead of having synchronizers and the shift forks, you know, shifting the gears, it's automatic. It's a hydraulic system, and the clutches will compress same way as you would manually shift a standard transmission, and you will go through the gears. That's basically the same operation of this unit as a manual transmission. We remove both shafts as one. Now there is a small snap ring holding this gear. Go ahead and remove that. Very small wire snap ring. We go ahead and remove our gear here. We have 2 washers. Just as they come out, just when you won't lose nothing, just put it back where they belong. Here we have the race, the bearing race. Put this on top here. Set it to the side. Bearings. Here we have on the main shaft 3 more O-rings. Make sure that they are there. On the opposite end we have 4 sealing rings. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4 sealing rings. Make sure that those sealing rings are there when you go back with it. Otherwise you're going to have some issues. Yeah, we see here, we're looking, and you see we have any damaged or burnt clutches. They just look worn out. I don't know how many miles are on this vehicle, but there are a few miles on it. And that's basically what we're seeing here. We're just seeing wear. I don't know if you can pick it up here, but you see this friction? See, from the center out, it's kind of fluffy, it's scraped out. That's just wear on the friction. They become real thin and the friction material starts to fall off. Just like the torque converter clutch, see right here, it's almost to the metal. It's almost to the metal here, right here at this edge, right here. That's just normal wear and tear. And that little friction material there, combined with a torque converter clutch friction material, that's just more than enough to clog your filter. And your filter clogs, the transmission will stop moving. Alright, well, let's go ahead and remove this gear here. This one here is pressed in. Just going to get it out. See if this will reach. Yeah, it won't reach. I'll get the longer one. Hope it's not too, this video is not too long, just bear with me here. We're going to go ahead and finish tearing this down, and then we'll talk about what's going on with this unit. I'm trying not to edit any of my videos anymore, you know, so I'm trying to make it look as live as possible. I hope you guys appreciate that. Struggling here with this thing. Just bear with me a little bit. Wrong socket. Okay, so we just get up underneath this gear and slowly bring it up. Remove it from our counter shaft. Here's a little bearing. Here's our low hold clutch drum. They're not in bad shape. They're not burned up. They just wore out. Set that to the side. Now we remove our differential from the case. Just pick it up a little bit. Just make sure that your bearings feel nice and free. You feel a roughness to them, you have to replace them. They are pitted. Now for our valve body, we'll go ahead and remove our filter. I already showed you what's going on with this filter, so we'll just put it to the side. This is our accumulator body. This is where all of our accumulators are. Pick it up as an assembly, and I recommend you do that because all the bolts are different lengths, and whenever you go back in to service all the O-rings on the accumulators, then you set them as a set and don't mix them up with any other bolts from the rest of the transmission. As you can see here, the shift fork O-ring is squared. If you notice that it stayed down there, it's not sealing anymore the way it should. It looks kind of square. It's supposed to be O-ring, you know, puffing out, you know, have a roundness on the edges. It doesn't have that anymore. Go ahead and put this here out of the way. this area, you have two accumulator valves with two springs sticking out. Like on the Honda CR-V, they're both different. And you have to pay attention where the stiff one and where the soft one goes. On the Civics, they're both, should be both the same. Got one of the guide pins, down by the guide pins fell over here. See these two springs right here? These are the same. On the Honda CR-Vs, you have to pay attention because one of them is different. The coils are different from one to the other. Take our pressure regulator valve body. Here they are, two accumulator valves. Set them to the side. Just remember to keep the bolts together with the items that you are removing. And the spacer plates as well. The spacer plate belongs to the accumulator body. I know I put the bolts over here. I have a habit of doing that, just mixing everything up. But not for this video. Just make sure that you keep the bolts together with wherever everything came out. Once you get familiar with this unit, then you can mix everything up. But for now, and the purpose of this video, let's go ahead and just keep the bolts that came out from here, there, the bolts that came out from there together with that. Only one bolt came out of here, let's keep it there. The stator arm, stator arm. This separator plate belongs to this valve body. Go ahead and take our manual valve mechanism here. Set it to the side, out of the way. Remove our manual valve. You don't want to bend this manual valve, so just get it out of the way. Going to go ahead and take the rest of the bolts for the main valve body off. Okay, 5 bolts. 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to set them here for now because we want them to go back where you got them out. Here's our pump gears and our pump. That's our pump gears. And our pump is a part of the main valve body. Here's another spacer plate, the main transmission spacer plate, the main valve body. Set it there to the side. Pick this thing up. Check balls. Let's talk about check balls now. I'm going to go ahead and just get them out and drain the fluid here, and then I'm going to go explain that to you right now. Let's just drain a little bit, and then I'll get close to the camera and show you where those check balls go. Okay, so that thing is draining right now. I just want to make sure that there's not a lot of fluid in the passages so that we can have a clearer view. Okay, so that's 8 check balls. 8 check balls. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. In this position here, on some models, the earlier, I think it's the B4RA, has a little aluminum oil deflector here that looks like a little lollipop, aluminum, and it goes here. On this unit, it's only just 8 check balls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. 8 check balls. That's where the check balls go. You need to rewind it and look at it again. Look at it, rewind it, pause it. But that's where those check balls go. I want to put this check balls over there on the shop towel. I don't want to lose them. It doesn't come in all the transmission kits. Some of the kits come with the check balls. Most of them don't. But just keep them all together, all 8 of them. 3, 6, and 8. Okay. And like I say, for the first purpose of this video, just keep that, all the bolts together. Lock-up solenoid and vehicle speed sensor. The differential has a drive gear. This is our drive gear for the vehicle speed sensor. This is our driven gear for the vehicle speed sensor. You can see the worm tracks of the valve body. Just make sure you don't lose these guide pins, valve body guides. And 2 of them go here on the valve body. 1 is already stuck in the back. So make sure you don't lose those guide pins. So there we go. I mean, this is a basic common issue with BMXAs, B4RAs, that the filter gets restricted because torque converter wears out, the torque converter lining starts to fall off, it gets caught up in the filter. You receive that one clutch pack. I believe it was this one. Where's it at? Then one of the clutches was all the way, almost down to the metal. Let's see, which clutch pack was that? Well, you know what I'm talking about. That's what I already showed you, that clutch. That was almost to the metal. Probably this one here. Here we go. Friction material missing on one side. This will cause the filter to get restricted. So there we have it. Basic teardown of a BMXA transmission. You already know where the check ball location is. Pay attention to your accumulator valves here. Like I showed you, the accumulator valve goes in the pocket first, and then the spring in the pocket on the accumulator valve. Honda CRVs, pay attention to those 2 valves. They are different. Different springs. The two springs are different. Just pay attention where each of them came out from. So there we have it. BMXA 2001 Honda Civic. Make sure you subscribe. Click the subscribe button. Down below, all your comments, all your questions and comments. I know there's a lot of transmission rebuilders that watch my videos. If I don't answer a question that you ask, if another transmission rebuilder is watching the video or going through the questions and comments, go ahead and share your answer with whoever's asking the question. If I can get a little bit of time and I can read your questions, then I'll get back to you. But if somebody else knows the answer for the question that you're asking, go ahead and just post it down there on the comment section. All right, well, there you have it. BMXA 2001. Click the like, subscribe, and share this video. Do whatever you want with it. My name is Hiram. See you later.